All right, let's talk Kansas City Chiefs. This is the time of year working our way through mini camps. We're seeing the rookies, the veterans, coaches all come together, and we're starting to see what new additions are making a lot of noise. Guys that are going to look like big-time steals, big-time playmakers for this Chiefs team as we get closer and closer to the 2025 campaign. And there's one guy in particular, one rookie that's impressing everyone. Veterans, coaches across the board. This kid looks like a legit playmaker for Kansas City. We'll get to that in just 1 second. But first, I'm Nick. That is Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Kansas City Chiefs working this way through the offseason to clear up some issues that prevented them from that, of course, famous or potentially famous three-peat that didn't work out for them in the Super Bowl. They are still one of the more talented teams and obviously a clear favorite to make a run out of it. They got head coach Andy Reid, quarterback Patrick Mahomes, a lot of great players, but they did have some areas to address, to improve on, things that were strengths in yesteryear that had fallen behind in 2024. And it looks like one rookie, one late-round rookie, seems to be a massive steal, a big-time weapon to help them address one of those areas. Let's pull up this report here, then we'll get into some very interesting data on the other side. This is courtesy of A to Z Sports. Andy Reid has liked what he's seen so far from rookie 7th-round pick Bashard Smith. Yeah, I like what he does, Reid told reporters on Thursday. He's got good speed and is a good route runner. Focus on that for a second. A part of his game for running backs and linebackers. These are kind of tough camps, so we'll just see how things go once we hit training camp. But what we've asked him to do, he's done a good job. Former Chiefs 3rd-round pick Kareem Hunt spoke about what he's seen so far from Smith. Good man, Hunt said. I like him a lot. You know, a guy who's very versatile and quick, good speed, and I like him so far for sure. All right, if you look at what Andy Reid has said there and focus on Kareem Hunt as well, you can see when it comes to Smith, they're saying, okay, versatile, fast, route runner. He's a big play receiver out of the backfield, receiving threat from the running back position. And that, I think, is exactly what the Chiefs are looking to improve on in 2025, because lost in the hustle and bustle and noise, mainly at the offensive line last season for Kansas City, is that at the running back position, they were not as good in terms of being a receiving threat as they've been in years past. So let's pull up our first image here. This is showing Bashard Smith and where he ranks last season in 2024 college football for receiving grade at the running back position. And folks, that is number 2 in all of college football. If you can see on the graph there, all the way on the far right, he had a 90.8 receiving grade, second in college football, second only to a Navy fullback, and that's because Navy, they've got that weird triple option thing, so we got a lot of wide open receptions for huge plays. So that kind of, covers up really the details there for that spot. But if you look at traditional running back role in college football, there was essentially, in my opinion, no one better catching the ball out of the backfield, and PFF analytics support this, than Bashard Smith. And that's exactly, like I said, what the Chiefs are going to look to use him in. So let's go ahead and pull up our next chart here to highlight what I'm talking about. So this is a graph of the Chiefs running back receiving grade, again, according to PFF, starting in 2022, 2023, and 2024. And you can see in 2022, they were about 72 PFF grade at the running back position in terms of receiving grade, catching the football, running routes, all that kind of stuff. That's really good. That's close to the top of the National Football League. In 2023, a little bit of dip. They get closer to average, right? Obviously still good enough to win a Super Bowl, but the trend isn't great there. And in 2024, it falls off a cliff. They're now below average in terms of that position, catching the football out of the backfield. And I think this is something that Andy Reid recognized this offseason. Reid, his entire career, his entire coaching career, especially when he became the head man in the Philadelphia Eagles, people remember the Brian Westbrook days, loves having running backs that are receiving threats out of the backfield. That's one of those hidden weapons. We talk about Mahomes' playmaking ability, the greatness of Travis Kelce, incredible just scrambling and play design of Andy Reid. But one of the hidden secrets with this Kansas City Chiefs offense, or any Andy Reid offense, is how smartly and effectively they use the running back as a receiver. That took a massive dip last season. The analytics supported, the numbers supported, and I guarantee you a lot of Chiefs fans thinking about it right now are like, yeah, not as good as we've been in years past with running backs out of the backfield, making plays to help our offense convert third downs and generate big plays. And I think this is an area where the Chiefs took a massive boost forward, right? Got a lot better, and that's specifically the addition of Bashard Smith. We're going to go from the Chiefs being below average in a receiving grade in 2024 to one of the top teams once again, just because of Smith. He doesn't have to be a starting running back. He doesn't have to run 300 times, but just as a receiving threat in third down and passing situations, he automatically makes this part of the Chiefs offense, and as a whole, this entire Chiefs offense, a lot better. This was a big weakness for Kansas City last season, a big area of concern this offseason, and the Chiefs addressed it with Bashard Smith, and the fact that he's off to such a good start, impressing Reid and guys like Kareem Hunt and the rest of the entire Chiefs organization, if we're being honest and looking at all the reports, is a great sign for Smith and the Chiefs going forward. All right, Miles, I know you've got a few thoughts on this, but first, Chiefs fans, in the comment section below, we've got an interesting question for you guys. We're talking running backs, we're talking Bashard Smith. Who is your favorite Chiefs running back of all time? I mean, this is a real tough one. Now, listen, I'm a Priest Holmes guy myself. Larry Johnson had an era, but you could go back a long way. Of course, the Nigerian Nightmare had a few great years there. Give us your favorite Chiefs running back of all time. It could go back, like I said, go back decades, could go back a few years, whatever it may be. Your favorite running back who played for the Chiefs, let us know in the comment section below. But Miles, over to you now. What are your thoughts on the Kansas City Chiefs, Bashard Smith, and just everything going on right now in this offense?
Yeah, Nick, first to answer your question, I feel like me personally, I'm recency bias a little bit, but I'm a Jamal Charles guy. I like how he played. That was a guy who you passed him the ball, you got the ball in his hands. He was same thing, and I think we're trending back towards those days where you have a real playmaker out of the backfield. And I think that's what Bashard Smith is going to bring to this team. And I think if you look at the offseason as a whole, that's where Kansas City has been trending. Because originally, during the beginning of the offseason, when we saw Kansas City bring in Elijah Mitchell, we were thinking the same thing here. Just they're looking for a playmaker out of the backfield. We're looking for a running back who can catch the ball out of the backfield, make big plays happen. And Elijah Mitchell, he's that guy, but the big caveat, he did not play a single snap last year. He's been battling injuries for a long time. Is this guy even going to hold up? Is he a shell of what he used to be? Is he the same player? I don't know. In comes Bashard Smith, and you go, okay, Elijah Mitchell probably wasn't drafted to be like the number one receiving threat out of the backfield, but he's a guy that does something that they want to do, and then they get a guy in Bashard Smith, who, even though he's been drafted in the 7th round, we know the Chiefs' history with playing late-round draft picks at running back usually plays out pretty well for them. Bashard Smith, he fits the bill. He does what the Chiefs want to do as a playmaker, so I really love this so far. It seemed like there's an archetype, there's a fit that was going to go on, and as we say, everyone's going to say it's just training camp, it's just OTAs, it's just rookie minicamp, whatever the case is going to be. People always like to cherry pick stuff like that, but Nick loves to say this, and I completely agree. Good players are good all the time. Good players are good in college. Good players are good in rookie minicamp. They're good in OTAs. They're good in training camp. They're good all the time. So as we've gone through this process, let's analyze this guy's college. He was good in college. Let's analyze what he did in rookie minicamp and OTAs. He's doing good there too. Now we're seeing what he's going to do in, regular minicamp, training camp. This guy, he's doing good things there. So as the trends have gone down the track for Bashard Smith, this is a guy who keeps impressing and keeps doing good. So we're going to keep keeping tabs on him, seeing through the process, is this guy just good through all the phases? That's a good check mark in the book. Probably going to be a good player for the Chiefs. And so far, it seems so good. And I think that's the case is when you hear from a guy like Kareem Hunt, I know all Chiefs fans know this, but starting out his career in 2017-2018 with the Chiefs, he was used really effectively as a receiver as well. Those first 2 years, that first year especially, this is a guy that came into that offense and did some crazy good stuff for them. He had like 460 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. Year 2, he had again 378 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. Those are some good years. That was a good play. Overall, I think you've seen Kansas City, when they have a good running back that can receive out of the backfield, it really, really helps them out, and it makes this team go. So from hearing from a guy that's been in the situation for the Chiefs saying, I was that guy at one point in time, as you look through his career, as things go on, he's not really that guy anymore. He's a little bit different style of running back, especially through the years when he went with Cleveland. Now we're seeing what is going to happen. He says, I see, Bashard Smith. I see what he's bringing to the table. I like it. I think it's going to help us out. So I think Bashard Smith fits that role for the Chiefs, and I'm really excited to see what he does here throughout this summer.
And it's important to understand, and this is one of the things that the Chiefs know very well, and Andy Reid's done a great job of this, is that as an offense and as a team, when you're a contending team, you go through different eras, like your own little mini sub-eras, where you change who you are stylistically and identity-wise. And you've seen it with the Chiefs, right? They began the Mahomes era, Tyreek Hill, high-flying, vertical passing game. And we've seen over the past couple of years, they've transitioned into a more ball control. They've got a few big play guys rely on the defense. And I think that's still where they're in, but I think they're shifting a little bit away from, hey, we're going to try and move everything back out on the receiver's shoulders to, we're going to go back to what I would consider more old school West Coast offense. Andy Reid use the running back out of the backfield, do a lot of these kind of different route packages and screens and things like this. People forget Andy Reid is maybe the best screen offensive play caller of all time. The problem with the Chiefs last season is they didn't have any really, or didn't have as good of running backs, I should say, as they've had in years past to take advantage of those opportunities. And these things can kind of snowball, right? It's if you have a running back who's a great screen guy or great out of the backfield and he turns what could have been a 5-yard play into a 20-yard play, then defenses have to adjust. It makes things easier for your tight ends, makes things easier for your wide receivers on the outside, makes things easier for your quarterback, cleans up the picture, all that kind of stuff. It all feeds together, right? We just expect sometimes, oh, you add Xavier Worthy and suddenly your offense is going to be great last season. It's like, well, no, it's not that. Everything works together. Everything has to commingle. You have to be multifaceted and have an effective strategy. And I think the Chiefs, with the addition of a guy like Smith, of course, we talk about Elijah Mitchell as well, they very clearly recognize they need to address this part of their offense, and it will be addressed. I think it'll come down to Mitchell or Smith. I personally think Smith, just because Mitchell, really good career in terms of what he's able to do at different stops, but the injury concern is valid. I think I go younger here just for that specific concern, but we'll see how this competition shakes out. But very clearly the Chiefs recognize they have a deficiency, and if they want to return to winning championships and making life easier for Patrick Mahomes, the addition of a guy like Smith will help them do just that. Sometimes, especially when teams get, I don't want to say wise to what an offense is doing, but familiar, you need to have something as simple as, hey, read the defense, hit the check down, get 7-8 yards, move along, right? Brady was famous for this for decades, right? He obviously, everyone knew how the Patriots and then later the Buccaneers were going to play stylistically, especially the second half of Brady's career. But Brady would just nickel and dime him, death to 1,000 cuts, hit one of those running backs for 5 yards. Oh, you're the coverage blitz, whatever, 5 yards. Coverage blitz, whatever, 5 yards. And he would just massacre defenses to death. I think the Chiefs have a guy in Smith who can be that kind of running back, almost be what Clyde Edwards-Helaire was supposed to be. Obviously, the first-round pick out of LSU didn't quite pan out for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Smith could actually become what the Chiefs were looking for from CEH. Obviously, a lot of things have to go in Smith's way, a lot of football, a lot of competition in front of him. But I think it's undeniable at this point that so far so good for this young running back. And if he continues on the trend that he's on, the Chiefs will have gotten one of the bigger steals of the draft.